Right. Can you guys hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, great. Good, good, good. So let's begin today's session. Right. So back and neck straight. Just gently close the eyes. And start observing your breath. Just observe the natural flow of your breath as you inhale and as you exhale. Be in your posture. Make sure that your body is aligned. And the entire body should be relaxed. So if you feel there is some stress or tension in the body, just take your mind to that body part and relax. Once the body is relaxed and stable, gently begin to deepen your breath, going into the practice of Puraka and Rechaka, slow, long, and deep inhalations, slow, long, and deep exhalations. Sarve Sampurnarao Sarve Bhadrani Pashyantu Ma Kaschet Dukkadam Ma Kaschet Dukkadam Shanti. 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 Just feel the vibration. Join both the palms together in front of the chest, and let's rub both the palms together. Place them on the eyes. Very slowly while blinking and look at the palm. Open up the eyes. Come back with a smile. And namaste to everyone. If my voice breaks, please let me know. Right. So today we are going to start with a new topic. Right. So today we are discussing Suryabhedan Pranayam. Chat box.
Your voice is breaking down, yeah.
Okay. Just a second. Just give me a moment. Right. So today's topic of discussion is Suryabhedan Pranayam. I've written it down in the chat box as well. Suryabhedan Suryabhedan Pranayam. Right. So far we have discussed heat generating pranayam, and this is also one of the pranayam which will increase the body heat. Right. So let's start from the beginning. So term, first thing, in order to understand the meaning of the pranayam, let's break down the name itself. Surya. Surya means sun. All right. So Surya Bhedan, when we talk of Surya Bhedan, we are talking of, something connected to the sun, something is that. And Bhedan means to pierce, to awaken, to purify. These are three meanings that you can understand to pierce, to awaken, right? Or to purify. So, about the right nostril, and I told you how it represents the sun, right? So when we are talking of this pranayam, we are talking of, the activation of the pranic energy in the body, right? And hence Surya Bhedan, so awakening of, the pranic energy in the body, or I can say the purification of the Pingla nadi. Pingla is your uh, right nostril, yeah, the nadi, the subtle energy channel that goes through the right nostril. That is the one we are talking of. So this is also called, right nostril breathing. Or vitality stimulating breath. All right. So from the term itself, we understood that we are working on the Pingla Nadi, and the purification of the Pingla Nadi is quite important so that the energy can flow properly, yeah, in the body. So all the nadis, when we do Nadi Shodhana also, everything needs to be, all the nadis need to be cleansed. So like for deeper cleaning of Pingla Nadi, this pranayam is performed, right? So uh, let's begin with the posture. So, of course, we are going to be in any sitting posture where the body is stable, comfortable, right? Spine is straight. Yeah. So, this has to be performed in a sitting posture. Then, next thing, which is quite important for us, is to, you know how many repetitions are recommended, right? So, when it comes to the repetitions, uh, Surya Bhedan should not be performed a lot. Okay. Why? Because if you just work towards one side, you will cause an imbalance, right? So if I continuously just do Surya Bhedan Pranayam, so I will cause an imbalance, one thing. Second of all, it would lead to overactivation of the right nostril. So generally, I told you, when we see around from for 60 minutes to 90 minutes, right? In this time duration, the nostrils change. But if you do too much of this pranayam, then this, natural switching of nostrils can be disturbed, right? So for this pranayam, even if you're introducing it to your students, be very careful. Why? Because this needs to be performed in a limitation. You cannot just do multiple rounds and, you know, um, generally we think that the more practice we do, the better it is. But for this pranayam, that is not the case. Okay. So it will disturb the natural flow of the body, right? So do not practice a lot. For a beginner, 10 to 15 rounds are good enough. And eventually you can go ahead and increase the repetition. Always make sure that when you are increasing your practice, you are in contact with some teacher who is guiding you, who has been guiding you, right? Do not just increase this practice like that only. That you have been practicing, okay, let me just suddenly jump, right? 2 5 minutes, suddenly jump to 10 minutes. No, this pranayam is for specific people only, right? So when I will tell you, what are the benefits, you will yourself understand that certain people should not perform it. Why? Because already their activities level is too high. So if they perform this, then it will add more. So um, be very careful when you do this pranayam. Yeah, even though it is a simple practice, it should be performed with a lot of caution, right? So let's come to the contraindications. Who should not do it, right? That is also quite necessary. So first and most important thing that I have been discussing since the beginning, heart patients, right? Because this is generating heat in the body. So heart patients, do not introduce this practice to them. Who have high blood pressure, again, do not introduce this practice to them, right? And even like people who have conditions like ulcers and anything that is caused in the body due to excessive heat in the body, basically, you know those people should not go ahead and practice this pranayam. Create acidity. In these cases, already the heat is too much, right? So, right. And even people who have anxiety should not perform this practice. Why? Because the person who has anxiety, there is already so much activity that is going on, and this pranayam overall makes you more active. So if you are a lethargic person or your mind is feeling too dull, then this is a great practice to do. Yeah. But if there is a lot of anxiety in the mind, right, there is already too much activity that is taking place, then performing this pranayam can cause further disturbance, right? So people who have excessive pith in the body should avoid this practice, right? Suryabhedan, again, as I told you, do not practice this before sleeping, right? Because again, it is, working on activating, it gives you a push in the physical activities and being active overall. So if you practice it during the night, you might have difficulty in falling asleep, right? So at that point of time, go for tranquilizing pranayams. Should be done in the morning. Even though it can be done by sunset also, there is no issue. But in the morning, so you can do this pranayam, it is going to help you, right? You have to be very careful while doing this pranayam. Why? Because sometimes what happens is, like I said, it is going to produce heat in the body. So, it works with the digestion also. So people sometimes think that, after eating the food, I should, practice this. Why? Because it is going to aid with those processes in the body. But no, if practiced after one thing at when you practice pranayama. So if you practice this after immediately eating food, it might end up like disturbing the natural flow, the natural ability of the body to digest. Because see, when we eat food, all the energy rushes towards the stomach because and the blood and everything, there is a proper rush towards the stomach because that is where most of the work is required at that point of time, right? So if you do this pranayam, you might end up directing that energy away from the digestion process, so it can you know harm you at that point of time. So be very careful, right? And always do it after a gap. Okay. So um, let's come to the benefits from the beginning, right? So, as I told you, this produces heat in the body, right? So, if you tend to have a low BP, good practice for you. You can practice Surya Bhedan and start from 10 rounds, 15 rounds, and then you can increase the practice, right? So, it is going to help you to maintain that body temperature, right? amazing practice to do in winters. So if where you are located right now it is warm, try to avoid this practice. Why? Because it's already warm, then you already body is feeling very warm, and then you do this practice, people end up having headaches, right? Or it really, uh, uh, they start feeling dizzy. So in winters, this is an amazing practice for you. In fact, if you are, if you feel really cold during winters, you can go ahead and practice this pranayam. It's going to aid you. It's going to help you with the, cold. And the best part is you can do it anywhere, right? Just sit somewhere, yeah, back neck to demonstrate. You can do it anywhere. So you do not have to, always, wait for something else. You have one practice handy which you can do to deal with the cold. All right. So amazing practice during winters, right? Then, because it increases the fire, like, pith in the body, right? So the disorders that are caused because of vat and cough, those disorders are directly, worked upon when you do this. Why? Because that time the pith is really low in the body, and other two, yeah, or either one of the two is dominating, right? So when you practice this, the pith in the body increases, right? So amazing practice for those people who are Vata personality type or uh, Kapha personality type, right? So the right nostril is generally, connected with the activeness. So even physical activeness, mental activeness. So great practice for people who, play sports, right? Why? Because even in certain researches, it has been shown that, you know, before going for a particular game, players practiced this pranayam, and when they went for that particular game, they performed better, right? So any activity that requires physical engagement, you can go ahead and sit down for a few minutes, do this pranayam, and then go and do that activity. It is going to help you with that, right? So on a mental level, what is happening? On a mental level, people who feel very dull, they feel very lethargic. Even on a bodily level, if you feel very lethargic, tamas, we talked of the three gunas. So tamas, for tamas people, this is a great practice, right? If you feel very lethargic, dull, lazy, right, then amazing practice for you to do. And even in the case of depression, so people who are depressed, they get stuck, right? So for them, inducing that activeness in the body, you can just sit and do this pranayam, right? It helps immensely with depression, right? And people who find it really hard to communicate, right? So activeness not only on a physical and mental level, sometimes we, hesitate to talk to people. So if you know of someone who is struggling with it and wants to work on it, right? So you can introduce this pranayam because it has the tendency to make one extroverted, right? So extroversion of the mind is, you know s- uh, uh, pushed ahead, is worked upon when we do this pranayam, right? uh, it makes the mind very alert. So again, it is a great practice to do before your meditation, because generally, and in fact, you will see a lot of people, they fall asleep during meditation also. And it mostly comes from previous tiredness. So they are previously very tired, or the mind is not getting concentrated, or they are working, but they're just not able to get that alertness in the mind. So at that point of time, you can just, as a pre-practice, like, make them go for a few rounds of Surya Bhedan, and then you can go ahead and um, you know uh, introduce some form of meditation to them, right? So it is going to aid them. It is an amazing pre-practice, yeah. So in any of these cases, or if you are struggling with any disease which requires, the heat of the body to increase, it is an amazing practice for you to do. Again, be very cautious, do not practice it during summers. It is going to, uh, backfire, I can say, right? So some practices for us as beginners, it is beneficial for us to practice them only during certain periods. So Surya Bhedan is one of them, right? So let's move to the technique itself. Yeah, so uh, I will demonstrate the technique to you. But before that, let me tell you about it. So like in Nadi Shodhana, what we do is we form the mudra with the hand. And, yesterday when we did Bhastrika also, we were doing this thing. So you are going to form that mudra with the hand, and then you're going to close the left nostril, yeah, and inhale through the right nostril. So once you inhale through the right nostril, after that you're going to close the right nostril and exhale through the left nostril. So while you are exhaling through the left nostril, you are going to feel the breath, right? And when you feel the breath, you will yourself see that the breath is warmer. When you exhale out that breath that you inhale through the right, that same breath becomes a little bit more warm than if you would have exhaled it normal. So after a few rounds, it will become too evident for you that this is the thing that is happening when you are inhaling. It is, of course, when you inhale, the air that we take in is cold. But when you exhale through the left, then that same breath is going to be a little bit warmer than the normal, if you would have normally exhaled, right? So let me just demonstrate the practice to you once, and then we will practice together. So, we form the Pranav Mudra, uh, or you can form the Vishnu Mudra, first two fingers, eyebrow center, right? And I'm going to close the left nostril and inhale through the right, close the right, exhale through the left. Make sure that the inhalation and exhalation is equal when you do this practice. Yeah. And just keep your body still and stable when you do this practice. So try to keep the body as stable as possible. Why? Because you will be able to feel the breath much more when the body gets stable, right? In the same practice, if your body is moving, maybe you won't be able to connect with the breath too much, but now you can. Like, if your body is stable, you will be able to feel that subtle change in temperature very easily, right? So we are going to practice anywhere between 10 to 15 rounds only, because it's just introduction for you guys. After a while, when you go on an advanced level with this practice, after inhaling, you can hold for a while, right? So keep the ratio 1 is to 1 is to 1. Once again, when you begin to hold, as long as you're taking to inhale, hold for that amount of time, and then exhale for the same amount of time, right? So you're going to make the inhalation, exhalation, and retention, all three of them, equal when you go into advanced practice. But for now, we are not going to do holding because it is very high level practice, right? Another thing that you have to take care of is, tomorrow I will introduce Chandra Bhedan. So the exact opposite of this practice I'm going to introduce tomorrow, right? So both of them should never be done on the same day, because you are already causing some fluctuation in the body, right? So that pranayam, avoid for that day, then next day you can go and practice that pranayam, right? So do not practice both of them, because they have completely opposite impact, right? So we, not only in the same practice, during the same day, try not to practice both of them together. Either go for one or go for the other, depending on your weather or your conditions, or which one you require, right? So let's begin with the practice. Are there any doubts?
So is it like we always taking a breath, taking the breath in with right and exhaling with the left, and then keep taking with the right, and then exhaling with the left. So it's a bit like Anulom Vilom, but it's slightly different because we don't inhale through the left, isn't it?
Yes, and the nostril you are inhaling with, you never exhale from that nostril. So inhale from right, then exhale from left. Then again inhale from right, then again exhale from left. So exhalation you will see is never happening through the right. So you are directly working on activating your right side. Yeah.
Yeah. And also you
So you
said
are
like
correct. Same thing is happening.
yeah, I think so. Like, and also you said like, this is a for anxiety people, they shouldn't do that, but depressive people can do that. But lots of time these two comes combined. Like anxiety comes first, then depression comes. So how it's going to work out?
Okay, so see, generally see some practices. So this is very similar to, uh, you know, on a physical level. Sometimes what happens is we have cold, right? So we want to go for opposite practice, but then we get fever also, right? So in that case, like when this comes, first thing is one thing will always be more dominant. Why? Because depression and anxiety are two sides of the same coin. Anxiety takes place when some person is worried about the future, right? It's more future oriented when there is so much worry, right? And you can never worry about the past. Why? Because it has already happened, so right? So worry is mostly, anxiety is mostly connected with the future, right? And you will see depression is mostly connected with the past. So people who experience depression are mostly, hurt or cannot get out of a cycle of thoughts which are connected to their past. Something has happened and they are not able to come out of that thing, right? So generally one of them is more dominant, even if both of them are together, and there is a very thin line between both of them. You can jump from one to the other very quickly, right? There is a very fine line between both of them. So first thing I would recommend whenever you are going for any mental disorder, right? First, get them diagnosed properly, and that only a psychologist can do. No yoga therapist, no yoga person can diagnose someone with anxiety or depression, right? Because we do not have that metric. There are certain metrics that are prepared, different types of tests depending on which approach they are taking, on the basis of which they determine, anxiety, depression, all of these things. So in some tests, they take out different stages as well, right? So you can see which one is more. Like when you interact with your client also, you will see that even though they have been diagnosed with both, one is more than the other, right? So you're going to work on the one first. You're going to work on the one which is more, right? So if the person is more depressed, then anxiety gets a hold of that person sometimes. Then right? And if the person gets very anxious, but there are some moments when they get depressed, then work on the anxiety first. And in fact, if you are like both are equal, so suppose both are equal, then go for common practices like Nadi Shodhan will be effective for both, right? Anulom Vilom, this is going to be effective for both. So it's going to help both the cases. So try to choose practices. In that case, try to choose practices which are going to be common for both of them, right?
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so let's begin today's session then. So we are going to go for abdominal breathing first. Then we are going to do just a few rounds of Anulom Vilom. First, we are going to deepen the breath a little bit. Then we are going to do Anulom Vilom, balancing, right? And then we are going to step into Surya Bhedana, where we are going to work on the activation of the right nostril. If at any point of time you feel uncomfortable, suspend the practice completely, right? And come back to the normal breathing. Okay. So let's sit in any comfortable posture, back and neck will remain straight. Slowly begin to focus on the breath. Just observe the breath as it is. And be
Can't hear.
now. Hello.
Yeah. Can't hear, but it's a little bit breaking.
Okay, wait. I will try.
Now looks like okay.
Okay, great. All right, so back neck straight, close the eyes, and start observing the natural flow of your breath. And make sure that the body is aligned. Body is comfortable and stable. And slowly begin to deepen your breath. The practice of Puraka and Rechaka. And when you feel ready, gently bring your right hand to the abdomen. Exhale completely. And as you begin to inhale, experience the abdomen rise. And as you exhale, contract the abdomen. Continue your practice and deepen it with each passing breath. for 5 more breaths and then suspend the practice. Once you finish the practice, just connect with the natural flow of the breath. And now prepare yourselves for the practice of Anulom Vilom. Form the Pranav Mudra or the Vishnu Mudra with the right hand and close the right nostril. Begin to inhale through the left nostril. Once you have inhaled, close the left nostril, open the right nostril and exhale. Then begin to inhale from the same nostril and gently close the right nostril with the thumb. Open up the left nostril and exhale through the left. Just one round, go at your own pace and complete. Continue the practice and complete one last round. Then you can relax the hand, back neck straight. Just observe your breath. Prepare yourselves for the practice of Surya Bhedana. Go for 10 rounds. If you can feel the heat in these 10 rounds, then suspend the practice. And if you feel that you are unable to connect, then you can do the 10 rounds and then go for 5 more rounds, right? So again, take the hand position. Exhale completely and then close the left nostril. Begin to inhale through the right nostril. Once you have inhaled, close the right nostril, exhale through the left nostril. And feel the warm air exiting from the left nostril. Then again, inhale through the right nostril, close the left nostril, breathe through the right. Once you have inhaled, close the right nostril, exhale through the left nostril. And continue like this for 10 breaths. Once you complete the 10 breaths, you can relax your hand. And if you feel the need, go for 5 more rounds. Keep the back and neck straight and just observe the breath, your state of mind, and see if you can feel the difference in the body temperature. Let's join both the palms together in front of the chest and rub both the palms together. Raise them over the eyes. One more time, rub both the palms together and keep them on the eyes. very slowly while blinking and looking at your palms. Open up your eyes. Start coming back. And when you feel ready, uh, yeah, just a second. There's something in the chat box. Oh, okay, all right. See, Nadi Shodhana is not started from the left. Sorry, not started from the right. Yeah. If you go to any traditional Hatha yogic text, you will find the practice always starting with the left nostril. So, I understand the explanation that he has given to you, but uh, if you go for the traditional practices, if you see the traditional practices, they are starting from the left nostril only, right? So even though this thing makes sense that when you are going in the morning, Pingala Nadi is used first, but then it will not be called Nadi Shodhana. Then the name is not going to be that. I don't know what the name of this practice is going to be, but Nadi Shodhana or Anulom Vilom, they do not start with right nostril. So name will be different, but I don't know if this practice is right or not. Like because we have always practiced in the traditional way only, and in the traditional way it always starts with left. No matter which book you consult, you are going to find that it starts with the left only, right? So then you uh, cannot address it as Nadi Shodhana. That is all I would say. If you feel that you want to start with right, that's okay. But you cannot say that it is the same practice, right? Yeah. If you still have any doubt, you can ask.
When I was doing this practice, once we suspend the practice, I felt like, because, the right nostril is not working for a bit of time. And
Sorry, can you repeat again?
um, after doing this Suryabhedan Pranayama, once
Mhm.
I stopped doing it, I felt like, a heat in the right nostril and felt like it's completely closed. Is that normal or?
So there is nothing normal, not normal. That was your experience. This was the first time you have practiced. As
Yeah.
you go deeper into the practice, see. So you will have to take some time with yourself to observe how your body is, reacting to the practice of this pranayama. Right? If this continues, then we can have a discussion, right? What is okay, what is not okay. But for now, it was just a basic introductory class. So you will need to, go into deeper practice for gaining a better understanding. Right now, even I cannot comment because this was the first time you have done, right? So I would say go deeper into the practice, and then probably after a while, when you go deeper, you are yourself going to see certain changes. Right now your body has just begun to adjust to the change that you suddenly subjected it to. So after a while it will get used to this thing, right? So then see where it is going, right?
Okay.
Yeah. um I'm still going to one more time see if I can find something from the right nostril when it comes to Nadi Shodhana. But as far as my knowledge is till now, starting from the right nostril isn't a part of the technique. Okay, but if I find something else, I will discuss it in the future classes if I come across something else, right? So if are there any doubts? any other doubts, or anybody felt as if, sometimes people experience a lot of discomfort also. So everybody was all right? Yeah.
Everything perfect. Thank you.
Yeah, good.
Sorry, I'm so sorry. It was too fast. So I think I
Oh.
missed it. Yeah.
Yeah,
Can you
that
say
was
it
good.
again?
Yes, it was good. Yeah, thank you.
All right.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you so much.
So let's end the session with just Om Shanti because it's already 4. So Om Shanti to everyone. Keep practicing, and I will see you all tomorrow. Right.
Thank
So
you.
bye bye everyone.
Bye.
Bye.